Now, a few things to think about upstream from Octopus Deploy, because if you make mistakes upstream, then it's going to be difficult to do automated deployments well. And the first types of decisions come in your Git source control. You want to have one logical application from an architectural perspective in your Git repository. Even if you've migrated your source control from SourceSafe or TFS or some other version control system, and you had this big directory tree with dozens of applications, and you just happen to know what part of the directory tree you're working on, you want to do some refactoring, because all of the tools in the DevOps ecosystem are really optimized to work with the entirety of a Git repository. And so make sure that you have one deployable application in your Git repository. Now, that application may have multiple deployable components, like a SQL Server database, a web application, maybe some offline services that each need to be deployed independently. And that's all fine and normal, but together they have one version number. They are architecturally one logical application, even if it has 3 or 4 or even more deployable components to it. So that's really a really important upstream decision to get right. Now let's talk about process, and we're going to switch back over. Your continuous integration has 3 components: your private build for the commit stage, then your CI build for the integration stage, and then your full system tests and your first deployment. Going all the way back to 2006, when the canonical continuous integration book was published, it defined the methodology as having those 3 stages. And a lot of the build servers make it super easy to just trigger a compilation based on a source control change. And that's a good start, but that's not continuous integration. You got to have all 3 steps to get the benefit of continuous integration. Not going to go into all of that now, but the major steps are stamping a version number into the application, migrating the database or getting the database set up for the build process, then doing a compilation, running as much of your testing pyramid as you can, your unit tests, your integration tests, running your static analysis, and then you package up whatever needs to be deployed, okay? And then you publish those. And so from a packaging perspective, you can see how an application with a web application, an offline job, and a SQL Server database translates to 3 deployable components. And then, of course, your full system acceptance tests are a 4th deployable component, okay? And we can push those to the NuGet server inside Octopus Deploy, and we can also push our tests to Azure Artifacts.